let's sketch sine and cosine functions with an amplitude other than 1. Okay? So we're going to sketch the graphs of y equal a sine x or y equal a cosine x. Remember, amplitude is just the absolute value of a. So if a was 7, we're going to graph a sine function with an amplitude of 7. We'll investigate what that means here in a moment. All right. So let's figure out what these graphs are going to look like. It says the graph of y equal a sine x or a cosine x with a other than 0, it will have the same shape as the graph of sine x or cosine x respectively, except the range is going to be a little bit different. Okay? For example, let's sketch the graph of y equal 2 sine x. Notice the amplitude here is 2. The amplitude is 2. Okay? So it says that the graph is going to be the exact same shape as sine x. So here's our old friend sine x, except the range is going to be negative absolute value of a to positive absolute value of a. So let's investigate what the range of this function is going to be. Well, the absolute value of a is 2, right? So the range is going to go from negative absolute value of a to positive absolute value of a. That's going to be the range of our function. So in other words, all I'm really going to do is I'm going to multiply every y-coordinate by 2. And that's it. So there's the point 0, 0. 0, I'll multiply the y-coordinate by 2, and it's still going to be 0. Okay? Here's the point pi halves and 1. Well, this new point is going to be pi halves, comma, 2. Okay? 0, 0, that will remain the same. Here's the point 3 pi halves, negative 1. Well, that's going to be 3 pi halves, negative 2. And over here, we'll be at 0, 0 again. So notice all we're really doing is we're stretching. And you knew how to do that from before. Remember, way back at the very beginning of the course when we were reviewing functions, if ever you put a number in front of the function, it just multiplied all the y values by that number. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to graph the sine function, and I'm going to multiply the corresponding y values by 2. Okay? So over here, this y value was negative 1, so the new y value is going to be multiplied by 2, or get us to negative 2. This one will stay the same, because 0 times 2 is still 0. Here's a y value of 1. Well, that's going to have a new y value of 2. And so there is y equals 2 sine x. It has an amplitude of 2. Okay? The range is going to be from minus 2 to positive 2. Now, it's really not too difficult. If this was 5 sine x, it would just be stretched a little higher. Okay? Let's try one more. How about we sketch the graph of y equals minus 3 cosine x? Let's take a look at that one. Okay? So let me go ahead and get a new piece of paper. Y equal negative 3 cosine x. Let's take a look at that curve. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch y equal cosine x. Okay? Remember, y equal cosine x looks something like this. That's 1. It comes down. Okay? And it looks the same over here. Okay. There is y equal cosine x. You have to be able to do that off the top of your head. Okay? And now we want to graph y equals negative 3 cosine x. Well, the amplitude is going to be 3. So it's going to have a height of 3, and it's going to have a negative height of negative 3. So all we're going to do is we're going to multiply all the y values by a negative 3. Or you can think of it this way. We'll flip the cosine graph. That's what the negative out in front does. Okay? And then we'll stretch it by a factor of 3. All right. Well, I'm just going to multiply all the corresponding y values by negative 3. All right. So let's see what happens. Here's the point. Let's see. That's the point negative 2 pi, comma 1. Okay? So this point's going to be negative 2 pi, comma negative 3. So this point will be right here. Okay? This point will stay the same. All the x-intercepts will stay the same. Here's the point negative pi, comma negative 1. So this point will become negative pi, positive 3. Okay? This point will stay the same. This point is 0, comma 1. So this point is going to go to 0, comma negative 3. Okay, this one will stay the same. This is the point, what's this point? Pi, comma negative 1. So this point will go to pi, comma positive 3. This point will stay the same. This is the point 2 pi, comma 1. So that point will go to 2 pi, comma negative 3. And notice I just have to connect the dots. And there is my function y equals negative 3 cosine x. So it's very important that you know the graph of sine x and cosine x first, and then the amplitude, you just have to multiply the corresponding y values by whatever number is out in front. Notice my domain is still all reals, but the range is going to be from minus 3 to 3. Okay? So practice with that. You'll have several homework problems to work on. Certainly come by the Polio Math Center if you're having some trouble, and we'll help you out.